What's up, homies? Welcome to Closing Bay Podcast, episode 739. We're back. We've had a long hiatus. I had, not many people know this, had the worst end to 2024 imaginable. Even start of 2025 was horrific. Ryan, can you remember what I fucking did at the airport? Can't remember if I told you.
At the airport? I feel like you remember you stayed there for like a day or so, but I forget why it was.
Yeah, like I took my mum and dad away for Christmas and New Year. I was not in a good place, but the day we're coming back, took the rent car. We got to the airport 4 in the morning. Obviously, at that time in the morning, the rental car place is not open, right? So what do? You take your keys and you put them in the fucking drop box that's locked, right? And I dropped them in there. Got to the airport, went in. Oh shit, where's my passport? Oh, it's in the car. So I was in the airport 24 hours, rebooked a flight. And then what happened was it was a holiday, obviously. I hold only dollars in my bank. I don't hold anything else. And I usually just like transfer it every day. But on a holiday, you can't fucking do an exchange rate. So I genuinely had zero money on me. Can you believe it? I was broke on the first day of 2025. But can only go up. Can only go up from here, guys.
It's a good place to start. New year, start at $0, literally. Homeless in an airport, can't go anywhere else. Only up from here, dude. That's the way to do it.
Bad. I was laughing there. So yeah, we're back, and we're gonna kind of reposition these kind of podcasts towards more management, because something that I've been doing a hell of a lot since kind of this time last year, and also Ryan's kind of got into this space now with more management stuff, and I think it's also a natural move for closers, or at least I think closers, when they start to get good and have done it for a long time, it's something they look into to do, right?
Yeah, no, I'd say so as well. I think it is kind of like a natural progression, so to speak. Even like the content that we had before this, a lot of it was about like training closers specifically. But you start to realize when you do that, so much affects the sales call like outside of the closer's control. And so I think a natural progression for us as well was like it's way easier to work with businesses. You can control so much more. And when you can control so much more, be like, oh yeah, fix this, fix that, whatever. They can just get way more results. And I think that it's a lot higher leverage to fix things from like a sales process standpoint as opposed to just like helping a closer to like handle an objection or something along those lines. So I would
Yeah,
say, yeah, for us as well with most closers, it's kind of like a natural progression. Once you figure it out, you get the game, have more control, make more money.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and plus you can make more money doing, it sounds great, less work, but more work that actually moves the needle. You know what I mean? Instead of like 20 hours every day of calls, maybe 20 hours is too much, but closer calls every day, sitting at your computer. It's great, make a shitload of money, and then when you kind of step out of that, you're able to do work that's more defined and actually move the needle for businesses, which I find really fulfilling.
Yeah, 100% as well. Because I noticed that as well too. Like you can review a couple calls for those closers for like a sales team, whatever it is, and then when they implement that feedback, like they'll make more money, and then as a result, you kind of make more money as opposed to you being on 10 hours of calls on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I think the caveat to it is like I know a lot of people in this space as well who like maybe kind of struggle to find success as a closer or just to be brash, like maybe like aren't that good. And they think, oh, well, like I've been doing this for a while, I'll just be a manager, which kind of creates the exact same problem of like a very inefficient sales process. So I think that if you're someone who tons of experience, you get the game, you feel confident in your ability to actually run shit for yourself, it's a great option. But you got to know what you're doing first.
Yeah. I think it's also natural, like the reason, like the whole closing pay process, what we created, came out as a result of, firstly, like me being a closer where I had more, uh, I had the ability to change and affect more things than just the call.
Mhm.
So I remember concentrating on the call and everything I can do in there. I got more, got given more ability, and then I could change more things in the whole process. And as a result, realizing, things outside the closing call are massively important. So doing it from a management perspective now is eye opening in a way, but also fucking frustrating.
Yeah, there's obviously, more problems to it, I think, than you run into outside of just normal sales calls, and you're responsible for like sales and kind of marketing as a whole, as opposed to just like, being on a sales call and, answering a question, answering an objection on sales calls. But the one thing we kind of like beat a dead horse with this, like we always make fun of like the free strategy session, but I think that in terms of, you understand how important like that communication and like everything from like what's being said in the ad to everything that goes into converting a cold lead into a paying customer, you realize how much there is, not just on a sales call in terms of like messaging, in terms of expectations, in terms of perceived value and stuff like that. Like a perfect example. So I was writing a VSL 3 days ago, and like the call to action again on a sales call was very specific of like, this is going to be a discovery call. I'm going to understand more about your business, see if it's a good fit. If it is, we will do X, we'll do Y, we'll do Z, we'll audit your process, we'll get a second call, and then we'll do this. And I can easily do that because I can actually give them a lot of value, and those sales calls will be very insightful and be helpful for their business. That's why you can use those call to actions. But, if you just plug in a closer in there, they would not have that ability to do that because they don't understand the offer. They don't understand the business as a whole to be able to articulate those things. And for another offer that we were working with, like you just see the business owners taking sales calls, they try to plug in a closer there, and they cannot do that at all. And so you kind of have to like revamp the entire process to be able to adapt for those things. And it was just interesting, like seeing the dynamic of business owner taking calls as opposed to a closer and like what that gap actually is. And so it kind of makes me realize those things from an entirely different perspective of like how you really need to know what's going on at like a macro level, as opposed to just like trying to be a closer on sales calls.
Yeah, and that makes me remember, like, when we were speaking to a business owner not long ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I just need a closer. I just want a fucking sick closer, Grant Cardone type. I think something like that. Like, and he was hell bent on just getting a closer of this kind of caliber. And it's like, an education from a standpoint, but in their mind, it's just they need this one person with this fucking skill to like get people over the line, and like that can actually work, and you see it a lot. Like, get someone in who just handles objections all day, and let them go at it, But it's not really good from a business standpoint. And then we also had another business owner who spoke to us, really cool guy, and I could tell from his position he wanted a closer as well, but we opened his eyes to so many things he could implement outside of this closing call that would like really help his process and help him start to enjoy his closing calls,
Yeah, 100%. Like both of those examples are very true, because I remember speaking to that first guy as well, and he was like, yeah, it's okay. I just kind of started, doing like X amount per month. Like, just get me a sick closer, like plug them in there. They'll do everything. I'm like, that's not the quick fix, like the Band-Aid that you think it is. Like, first of all, finding someone who's just going to go in there at a relatively new offer, like they weren't even at like 6 figures per month yet, and then just do everything is extremely unlikely. Because if someone was capable of doing that for your offer, they're probably at the point where they prefer to do it for their own offer. And so it's not the quick fix that you think it is. And I probably get like, I don't know, for some reason, the last like month or two, I've probably gotten like dozens of messages being like, yo, like my offer's sick. My offer's amazing. I just can't find good closers. Give me a killer. I'm like, that's not what you think like hiring a sales rep is, of, oh, the sales reps are the problem. Like, just get me a killer. They'll go in and figure everything out. Because 99% of the time, you go into the business, you look at it, you understand what's going on. You're like, dude, the sales rep's not the problem. It's like the business as a whole, the sales funnel, marketing, offer positioning, a number of things outside of the closer's control. And so they just are expecting to hire someone. They'll figure it out. They'll fix their problem. They can scale to $5 million a month just because they hire a good closer. That's like always the misconception from business owners, which is always very fascinating.
Yeah, it's mad, but you can't fault them. It's just education at the end of the day. Like, I have a guy I'm coaching right now, and the business owner was just kind of like, I'm going to create a new funnel and you're going to take all these calls, And one thing that was glaringly obvious is these leads were coming in from two ways, like one through DMs and one through ads. And the closer was just given the call with zero context on until I asked, what's the ad? What are they thinking when they're coming in? We didn't know. Okay, they come in through DMs. What's the conversation? Oh, I have no idea. I mean, you might as well hold a gun to your fucking head before the call. Do you know what I mean? You have zero idea. Just end your life.
Yeah. That's actually really funny, because I did a call review for someone, like that exact same thing happened. They're like, oh, this guy's like not closing. I'm like, all right, let me check out a call. And I literally like maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes into the call, the sales rep goes like, "Oh, so like, what are you hoping to get from this call?" And the prospect goes, well, you reached out to me. I'm like, all right, stop, pause right there. I'm like, this is like, I just explained like a 10, 15-minute rant, like sales funnel expectations, how that works, why this guy's never going to close because, he's expecting to get free value. I'm sure the DM setter was like, oh yeah, hop on this call. We'll tell you everything. We'll tell you how it works. And you just have the sales rep. He goes, oh, new hot inbound lead. I'm just going to hard close him a one call piff. Wildly misaligned expectations. And unless you have someone in there who can kind of like manage that continuum and like figure out all those little like micro decisions that go into actually running that as a very smooth sales process that can facilitate closing cold leads at scale, like you're always going to think you have a closer problem. Every single one of them.
That's funny though. All right, stop. Like
Yeah,
1
I'm like,
second into the review. Okay, stop. I found the problem. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, like the rest of the call doesn't really matter at that point because
Why didn't he close? You can see in the first 3 seconds, brother.
And it's like, oh wait, no, he said let me think about it. 17 minutes into the call, if he just handled the let me think about it objection, he'd close.
Yeah, we need some more objection handlers up in this.
Yeah.
No, but one thing I did want to speak about is like show rate, because like from a management perspective, like this is like a looming bit of data over your head all the time, and especially from like cold traffic. It's like it's super super annoying because there are certain things that go into it, and one thing as a closer, one thing I was like used to be so hard on was like, VSL, like get this pre-call PDF to them, get these videos out to them, get them reminded, all this. Man, maybe it would have worked a bit ago, when it was novel, but like I'm seeing it doesn't have as much of an effect as, and this might sound obvious, as the fucking offer itself. You can polish a turd. Don't know if that's a term in the US, but
yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I tweeted about that a couple days ago almost. Like we worked with similar like the exact same industry, but like slightly different value propositions. One had like a 30-40% close rate. One was like 90 plus. And the exact same automations, because we had the exact same like copy and paste high level automations for both. One was 30%, 40%. One was 90% plus. Same general offer, but like slightly different, unique positioning that was communicated in the ads. People saw the value. People were interested. They show up to the call. It didn't matter how many automations or appointment setters or whatever reminding them of the appointment. They probably remembered the appointment. They just didn't think it was valuable enough to show up. But the one thing I will say to that too is, because for another offer too, I was like running everything myself, like running paid ads, and obviously there's more emotion in it when you're spending money on ads and running the sales team. Was that the people who showed up to the call and closed were always the people who watched all the VSLs. You send them, sales assets. You send them nurture emails. They read all of it. They watched all the videos. And so for those people, I think who want to buy and are buyers, they will review all of that. And if you can kind of make those concise arguments, get ahead of handling objections, social proof, all that good stuff ahead of time, the sales call is a million times easier. But you can't rely or expect every single prospect to watch everything that you sent them, and so you kind of have to be able to have that sales conversation for those warmer leads who did go over through everything, had those like, the pre-sold, pre-educated, pre-qualified, be able to kind of push them over the line, but still expect you're going to have people extremely cold, extremely skeptical who didn't watch any of that. And you can't rely on those assets to do all the selling for you. So I think there's like a nuance there for sure.
I just see it now as like a tick box exercise. Like there's all these things that, we have at our disposal, and it would be shooting yourself in the foot to not do them all.
Right.
So instead of like relying on them, just do them all, tick them all off, have them in the fucking pipeline, and then just leave it, right? It's done. And now from that perspective, once it's all in place, you have to really kind of look at the bigger picture. Because, when you take the show rate because what happens is people get like show rate's 50%. Oh no, it's now 40. Now it's 35. We're going down. Okay, we need custom Loom videos getting sent out. We need dick pics sending straight out.
That'll pique their attention.
What I mean? Yeah, exactly. We have to get their fucking attention. Make sure you send a blue bubble. Do you know what I mean? Like custom voice notes, AI. And like, I'm not against all of it because, like, okay, can we do that? Yeah, okay, put it in. But it's not going to make it go from 30 back to 80. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when we look at the show rate, like when I was managing this offer last year and you were closing and we had like a 90% show rate on it,
Yeah.
we didn't do any of that, those like special stuff.
Yeah.
It was simply the fact that the market wanted what we were selling, right? And so
100%.
that's the big lesson to take is like, okay, what you're selling, right? If you stood in a big crowd of people in the street with a big board saying, this is what I'm going to give you, would people swarm around you? Yeah. Okay, show rate, you're not going to have to worry. If you stood with it and people aren't going to swarm around you, your show rate's not going to be that great. You know?
Yeah. Like all that stuff is meant to supplement a good offer.
Yeah.
It can help, for a lot of prospects. Like obviously if you have a VSL that does, pre-educate, pre-sell, pre-qualify prospects, you have sales assets, nurture emails and stuff like that. People will consume it. It will help those people convert better. But if your offer sucks, you can send them a million different VSLs. They're not going to watch it. They don't care about it,
Yeah.
And like perfect example too, because for an offer I was working with pretty much at this time like last year, they were already doing like several $100,000 a month, if not like $1 million a month, but they had nothing like pre-call at all. And so every single sales call, like you just repeat yourself, same questions, same objections, saying the same thing, educating people from 0 to 100, but it was still a good offer. And it's like, well, if you sent them stuff, they probably, a certain percentage of people would watch it. Those percentage of people would come to the call more prepared. That sales cycle is shorter. That sales conversation is easier, close more people. And it does. Like I said, but it's supplementing a good offer. It's not the make or break, whether they have a good VSL, a good pre-call video, good nurture sequence and stuff like that. It's great for a great offer. It will certainly help, certainly make more money. But if your offer sucks, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Most offers suck, to be honest. That's the issue. But
Yeah.
one thing I found as well is like, I don't know, that you can definitely go overkill with pre-call stuff and reminders and things. And a lot of people think, well, it's not going to hurt doing more. Reminder 24 hours before, reminder 12 hours, reminder 4 hours, reminder an hour, reminder 5 minutes. Ooh, I would fucking kill myself if that happened to me.
Yeah.
And so one thing I've found success in is, and everyone can take this, maybe I'll tweet this actual reply, is like when you get people who have the intent, they watch your stuff and then they, opt in, then they make a booking, they on your calendar, they're generally fairly high intent. It really matters. You don't want to put those guys off. This is one thing I've been saying to my closers is like, let's at least all the people who have high intent, let's not fuck them off. They're probably there to close and they've got high intent. So let's not fuck them off. Let's not do all these reminders. So I send a text, it goes straight out. And it literally says, appreciate you booking in for a call. Reply Y/N to confirm you're attending. And if they reply Y, they don't get anything else. If they reply, and this is the cool thing about it, is sometimes they will then reply N, bro, after like a few hours. And it's so, I'm like, I'm a genius here. I'm so glad I fucking said it, because you would just be reminding someone and then they're like genuinely not coming, but you've given them this reason to do it, and they don't have to put effort in. They just put N, and then the setter gets the notification, this person replied N, and they call the motherfuckers. And then usually it's just a timing issue and they just reschedule it that day, So that's what people need to be doing.
Yeah, I remember this was like years ago. One of the offers, like the PR offer we always talk about, is like show rate was bad for a little bit. And I think they kind of made the mistake of, I think at one point we brought in like extra appointment setters. Their entire job was to remind people of appointments, and they had extra automations. And then people would get on the call like, or text pre-call, like, yo, there's way too much shit going on here. People get on the call us first 5 minutes, like, hey, how you doing today? Like, all right, dude, first of all, I really thought this was a scam for a little bit. You guys were texting me way too much. And it's like, you could definitely go overkill. And a lot of people might have opted in. This is interesting. And they get 400 texts. They're like, this got to be a scam. They don't show up. And so you can definitely go overkill with it. I think, yeah, the happy medium is, first of all, have a good offer and then just gently remind them, nurture them. Hey, here's a call. Show up. Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, like if someone books in and there's a few days like to go, like there's a good chance that they'll lose interest or something will come up. So in that sense, I do the first text, reply Y/N to confirm. They'll always go Y, leave it. and then I do one 4 hours before the call, and it's the same thing. But now at the top, I put auto reminder. Even if you have replied Y to the previous text, please do that again to the one below. The cool thing is now you get people going Y to the first one and N to the next one. Right? And then it's like, cool, this person has just told us instead of no show, and now we can just reschedule them again.
Yeah.
You know? And I found that really works. All of these like reminders, if you tell people, like, do you remember how I used to say pre-handle objections and like kind of get ahead of it?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of giving them a text that looks fucking annoying, I just put in the text auto reminder. You know, and so in some cases I put auto reminder, don't get angry. Don't get angry if you've already confirmed to this, you know? And it's like people enjoy it like that.
Yeah. The one thing I started doing too, which I was just interested, I was just like curious how this would work. So I had like videos that I'd put like a pre-call sales asset that I'd send to people pre-call, but I would like duplicate the video so I could tell who was viewing what video. So in other words, like I'd put, I think it was like 2-3 like brief videos, explainers, like the offer, handling objections, misconceptions, stuff like that. I would basically embed those in the pre-call asset that I sent to them. And so I could see if people are watching those. I was just curious if people actually check the stuff out pre-call. Do they actually watch the videos? How much of the videos do they watch? And like people do check that stuff out. People will do it. I think, like I said earlier, it's like you can send that, you can nurture them as much as you want. Assume people are probably going to get annoyed by your text anyways. People are probably not going to check your stuff out, but they still might get in a sales call, and you still have to sell those people. But you send stuff, people will review it, and it will nurture them, whether they fucking like it or not. So it is what it is.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. But I think we're done, bro. I think 22 minutes. I think we're good. Everyone can be an enjoyer of this stuff and get ready for next week.
Cool. We're season 3, Close and Paid podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you.